from PRX.
All right, everybody, it's time to talk about the mattress I love sleeping in. We're talking about Helix Sleep, and that's my first question. Do you love the mattress you're sleeping in? Does it fit your needs, your feel preferences, what makes you comfortable? If it's not a solid yes, go to helixsleep.com/sleep and take the Helix quiz and find a mattress that you will love. Every time I'm away from my Helix this summer, I miss it. And then literally I start laughing when I get in bed now because I say, holy cow, I love this mattress. It's so comfortable. And one of the main reasons it's comfortable is I took the Helix quiz and I got matched with a mattress that fits my needs, my feel preferences, the fact that I get hot when I sleep, that I like to sleep on my side and my stomach, that I like something firmer. You deserve a mattress that you laugh when you get in because you love it. So you say, hey, I've missed you a lot. Not only that, Helix comes with a 120-night sleep trial, a lifetime limited warranty. There's free shipping and seamless delivery. Helix delivers the mattress right to your door with free shipping in the U.S. They have the Happy with Helix guarantee, so you can rest easy with seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. And Helix is the most awarded mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. And of course, they've got a deal for our listeners. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide, exclusive to our listeners. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide, exclusive to our listeners. Make sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Take that sleep quiz. Let me know what you got matched with. Thanks, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster that ideally enables the Dorme for Vu, if you know what I'm saying. And if you don't, I'd say ding, dang, dong, ding, dang, dong. And you might be saying to yourself, what in the name of Frere Jacques are you rambling about, Scoots? I say, I don't know, but it's time for Sleep With Me. The podcast that ideally the question never gets answered, Dorme Vu, are you sleeping? Because it just, because you couldn't, you know what I mean? Anyway, it's time for Sleep With Me podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots, and this message is if you're new to the show, we do have a website, or a PDF, sleepwithmepodcast.com/new. But welcome to the show. It is very different. You'll hear me talking about that over and over again. But I'm glad you're here. You're welcome here. This is a very different and strange show. I'm here to tell you a bedtime story in my creaky dulcet tones, full of tangents, full of going off topic, never getting to the point. It's kind of the opposite of any other podcast that exists because I'm not here to be listened to or heard. I guess I'm not here to be heard. I don't know. I'm here as a background noise that you could tune in and out of so you can let go of whatever's keeping you awake, so I can break through the loneliness, maybe bring you some sleepy comfort, joy, and delight. There's over 600 episodes in this version of the show. But yeah, check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/new. If you're looking for if you have some questions, or you could get a hold of me through the website, sleepwithmepodcast.com. Use the contact form on our website if you have questions. But yeah, I'm really glad you're here. This show does not work for everybody, but I hope it helps you out, or that I can help you find something that will. Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Carl W. the Legend. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. And if you listen to Sleep With Me all night long, you fall asleep faster in the intro. You listen 5, 6, 7 episodes a week. You've been listening over 3 years. You know, we designed Sleep With Me Plus with listeners like that in mind. There's versions of the podcast built specifically for those styles of listening on Sleep With Me Plus. Ad-free full episodes, story-only episodes, audiobook-style compilations, all intro episodes. And you can get all that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Then you can fall asleep faster, listen all night long. And not only do you get the peace of mind from the show, you get the peace of mind the podcast will be there for you and for everybody else that needs it. And you could sign up and check it out with a 7-day free trial. You can get it free by being surprised by Scoots. And when I say this next part, you'll know because it's because of your support. So what do you say? Because of your support, we get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, or routine, whatever's keeping you awake. Could be a variety of things. And it is important what's keeping you awake. What I'm here to do is try to help create a safe place where you could rest. You can lay down. If you're carrying any burdens, physical or metaphorical, you could try to lie them down here. I have plenty of, look at, there's some storage over here. Individual personalized storage, plenty of space. Even has those little plastic things on the inside. They say, hey, that makes it even smell better in there. So I'm here for a place for you to lay those down, or, you can lie down too after you put down your burdens. You could lie down with your back. Like a lot of places people would say, you're going to lie down with your backpack on. A lot of places that I go and lie down, that's not the first thing. That's like the 30th thing they ask of why I'm lying down there. I said, well, I'm testing stuff out for the podcast. No one's ever lied down in a 99-cent store before. And I said, well, don't worry. I already figured out it's probably not the best place to lie down. I didn't need you to, I was just seeing the sound my elbow makes on this floor. It's interesting. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, but in that case, they also said, what do you, after I managed to explain it to them, it turns out the manager actually was a podcast listener. Even a podcast listener said, why are you going to lie down on the floor? Well, again, they said, why are you lying down on the floor? And then they said, why are you lying down with a backpack on? And I said, I don't know. I just prefer at this moment, I prefer to lie down with my backpack on. And then somebody said, why are you wearing a backpack in a 99-cent store? And I said, well, I prefer to always have a bag. I said, I got stuff on my back. It's a pack for stuff that's, Okay, let me get back to this. But you could, I guess this place is so safe. If you want to keep your backpack on, go right ahead. You want a backpack? We got them. You say, you know what? I didn't think of it. I had some stuff in my pockets. You could put it in the backpack. You could put the backpack on, or you could put it in some of our storage here. Welcome to the virtual version of Sleep With Me, a safe place. What else does it come with? Well, here's other things. I'm going to try to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, tangents, rustified tangents, a lot of other things. I'm going to go off topic as I just did. So if you're new, let me get you settled here. Here's what to expect. First few minutes start off with business. That's how we keep the show going. Then we have an intro. The intro is around 12 minutes of senseless I don't know if it's banter, but it's a senseless babbling. It's been described as, I would say, well, come on, give me a little something. I don't know if I'm babbling. I'd say I'll take rambling. Okay, senseless rambling. I could take that. And really what it does is it gives you a chance to get ready for bed. to start to wind down. For new listeners, it lets them see the nonsense. They get right to the nonsense. Some people listen as they're brushing their teeth. Some people fall asleep during the intro. Some people listen to it when they're in traffic. Whatever it is, I'm here to help. And I guess, the intro. So the intro is the beginning of the show. Then tonight we'll be talking about Star Trek The Next Generation. And it'll be really, you might not know. You say, what are you talking? That was Star Trek The Next Generation you talked about. And yeah, we'll talk about some facts that came up. We'll talk about filaments, quantum filaments. So we'll be covering those things also coming up here. So that's just, and then there's some thank yous at the end. In between the intro and the story is some business. So that's the show structurally, what to expect. Here's the other things. You don't really need to listen to me. You can kind of listen. You could barely, you could turn me into a mumble. Or you could listen close. If you need company, like you're having a real tough time, I'll be here talking about Star Trek The Next Generation till the end. And, modern Major General. I don't know if you're a fan of Gilbert and Sullivan. I don't think I'll, but we'll be talking about that later. So I'll be here to keep you company. But you don't need to listen. And also, there's no pressure to fall asleep. I'm here to keep you company till the end. So fall asleep when you wish. The whole idea of the show is I take your mind off whatever's keeping you awake. And I guess like the perfect backpack, like what if there was, I don't know if this would be the perfect backpack. I was just thinking, I was trying to make a metaphor for the podcast. That's what I do with these intros. And I was thinking like the perfect backpack would be one you don't know you have it on, even when there's stuff in it. And it doesn't make your back sweat. I mean, that's one for me. I mean, I guess I don't mind sweating. I'm not that, but I say if we could get less back sweat, that would be terrific, especially when I'm trying to catch a bus. But I guess I would say part of me wants to say, yeah, the perfect backpack would be one you wouldn't know you had on. But then, of course, that would cause all sorts of issues because you say, well, first I'd be like, oh my gosh, there's all my stuff in here because I didn't know, I can't sense its mass or whatever weight. And it's, oh no, don't worry, it is. It's just in a feather-light container that makes the things within it feather-light. And I'd say, wait, hold on. This is the invention part of my brain. I say, hold on, you invented a technology, a container, if that is feather-light and makes what is within it feather-light. And you use that technology on a backpack? Oh, yeah. It's going to be the next biggest thing in backpacks. Can't wait. It's been my dream, my whole lifetime of trial and error, mostly, trials and errors and tears. But, yeah, it's finally, my dream is, I finally found the right level of quantum mechanics. And I even hired a couple of them. And we did some tinkering. We got into one of the big particle accelerators. We've done it all. We cracked the code for the featherlight backpack. And they say, wait a second, no, I guess you weren't listening to me. Like, so are you licensing this technology to anything else? No, this is my dream. This is like, I just want to use it for this is the perfect backpack. Okay, well, I'm trying to validate your dream without saying, because just earlier, I didn't know you would be here, is the inventor of this technology, but I was kind of invalidating it because I was saying, what if you sit down, you don't know if you have a backpack on? What if you lie down in a 99-cent store to take a nap as an experiment, by the way, and you don't know you have it on, and then people say, what do you got a backpack on for? Well, you wouldn't care because it's featherlight. Okay, but yeah, so I know this is your life's work, having a featherlight backpack. Maybe here's an idea. Let me try to say encourage you to the next level. What if we license this technology out, and you could just give me a small commission to do so, because I'm sure even a tiny percentage of this is going to be. So you have a container. And when you put stuff in it, it's featherlight. Yeah, it is. Okay, so, because I think we could probably, there's plenty of other applications we could use it in. But no, I just want to use it in the backpack. It's actually within the backpack. And then we could make the backpacks for free. Or at you could sell them as a loss leader. Well, no, I want to make money for my backpack. Okay, great. I'll tell you what, why don't you come in here for a hug that's as comforting as a feather. Yeah, come on in, Inventor Brain. I'm sorry. I think I would love a featherlight backpack that makes everything in there featherlight. So let's say, yeah, everything in there be featherlight. Here's the thing. Could I put my heavy thoughts in there? In your frown from me over-explaining your idea, your great idea of a featherlight backpack? Well, I don't know. I never tried to put heavy thoughts in a backpack before ever. Well, before this, we would have had no reason to. Maybe that could be part of our marketing. How much is my partnership in this, since you're part of my imagination? No, it's not. Sorry. Okay, but anyway, I just want to still encourage you. So if so I can put my heavy thoughts inside this backpack and they'll be featherlight. Not only will they be featherlight, they'll be secured to your back for you to carry them around. Yeah, and they'll be out of my brain, too. Yeah, by the way, I think this is almost a metaphor for the podcast. Not a clear one, but I think you could even move on. Oh, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea of the podcast is to give you a distraction, to take whatever keeping you off, I still don't understand how is this based on Earth-based technology or something fallen from outer space? Oh, it's imaginary. It's a new imaginary technology. Oh, okay. Even our imaginary technology, we have interesting use. We couldn't have gone broad with this. I mean, do you think of all the problems we could solve? Right, like backpack-related issues are going to be fixed forever. Okay, I'll get back to you. Let me get back to the audience. So, yeah, so the whole idea, hey, everybody, sorry I'm back. Had a little BizCon there. Is that what they're called? That was an internal conference call. Whew, yeah. No wonder I toss and turn at night. But so the whole idea of the podcast is very similar. It's to give you, to give a little lightness to your thoughts, to give a little lightness to bedtime, to be a little silly and to keep you company. Because I really believe you deserve a good night's sleep. And I like to help. Now, it doesn't work for everybody. This podcast is a little bit different, just a teensy bit different. But it's well-intentioned. I've been there suffering in the deep, dark night, tossing and turning. And I just wanted something to keep me company and to take my mind off of stuff. So I made this show in the hopes it would help you. So give it a few tries. And most of the listeners say it took 2 or 3 tries. And then they were like, oh, okay, I get it now. But, I'm here to help. I strive and I yearn because I really want to help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going. All right, everybody, it's Scooter here, and we're back with another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. It's been a little while. And we're talking Season 5, Episode 5, Troy's in Charge. It is known by other titles, but Lieutenant Commander Troi is what I prefer. And let's see, it starts off Mudo 5 or Mudo S question mark in my notes, which Mudor 5, I don't know if that's related to Mordor. I don't think so. I wonder if they knew, if they made jokes about that. They didn't in the script. But that's what the Picard says. Captain's log, stardate 451, 56.1. 451 is the start of somebody's number that I used to call in high school. And they're going to be enjoy a welcome respite from their duties. Beautiful word, respite. Then we see, I think we're in 10 forward, Keiko and O'Brien. And William. I put William. It's Riker because he says they're talking baby names. And Riker says, well, I think William's a great name. And Keiko and O'Brien are going back and forth with Hero. Keiko's, let's see, I can't see. Oh, Keiko's father. And then O'Brien's father, Michael.
Michael Hero. It should have been easy. If I was there, I said Michael Hero or Hero Michael. Hero Michael's better. Because, I mean, Williams, yeah, I think just I prefer those less, like a hero. You don't, you like, I don't know. I just prefer it. What do I got to do? Then they're, feeling the baby kicking, even Data. I did wonder, yeah, like everybody says, okay, then there's a green drink in the background. The background. Worf, also, this was interesting. I don't have the timestamp, but maybe I could jump back to it here. Yeah, here we go. It's at 47 seconds into the show. Worf is 100% checked out of this conversation, and it's actually great acting. He is checked out. He's just sitting there. Like, maybe he's just in total chill mode. It doesn't look like he's checked out, passive-aggressively. He's just checked out of the conversation, looking around 10 forward. He looks like he's actually, I'm really studying it now. It looks like he's watching a fly around. So you do yourself a favor, watch it for that. Also just watched a woman pound a light blue drink out of a highball glass in the background. Checked out a convo. Then we have Geordi and Dr. Crusher. We see a lot of blue and yellow barrels. They're in some sort of, storage thingamajig, whatever they call those things. And Dr. Crusher's off on another, casting another play, a musical, Pirates of Penzance, or however you say it. And she's trying to get Geordi to sing, I'm the very model of a model major general. I have information, vegetal, animal, and material. Vegetable, though. He says, I can't do it. He's pretty good, though, really. He has a very, very nice red barrel. That's what my handwriting says. But I did think he was on pitch. She says he's a little off pitch, but I mean, I'm a big fan of Geordi LaForge's voice, if you know what I mean. I mean, I was raised by butterflies in the sky. But okay, so they have that scene. This is, the usual set jumping around the ship. Primary science school fair. Kids are coming for their tour. Marissa J. Gordon, much like Hero William. J. Gordon has two first names, so I don't know why we couldn't have done that. Oh wait, it wasn't William though. That I forgot. Sorry, O'Brien. I forgot what your father's name was. Or maybe it was William. What? No, yeah, it doesn't matter. Patterson is the other young man's name. So there's Marissa J. Gordon and Patterson. And Patterson's a little rambunctious. I don't think that's the right word, but and he wants to see the BATTLE bridge. And Picard goes, no, we're going to go to the hydroponics and astrophysics labs. And Troi turns them over. And Picard says, okay. And then they get on the turbo lift. O'Brien's coming off. And he says, oh boy. He goes, I don't know who has it worse, Commander Picard, Captain Picard, or the kids. And then we have this great acting. Picard's on the turbo lift. He goes, yeah, we're proud of your science fair winners. Anybody pursuing a career in Starfleet? Nothing. What'd you do for your science projects? And Patterson said in a hilarious voice, I planted radishes in this special dirt, and they came up all weird. And Picard says, it's very commendable. And then Jay Gordon says, I did an analysis of the lifespan of swarming moths of Gonal 4. And they have I thought it says 20-hour lifespan. And Picard says, interesting. Then he goes to ask Marissa. I don't think we ever found out what Marissa's science fair experiment was. A spoiler. And then the ship has a little bumpy poo where it says, well, there's a little bit, we hit a bump in the road. And why does this is a question for IMDb. Colm Meaney, the actor who plays O'Brien, his headshot on IMDb, which comes up if you pause stuff on Amazon. He's in a Panama hat. But the Enterprise has bumped into a quantum filament, which causes large issues, ship-wide issues. And O'Brien and Troi are on the bridge. No contact with anybody. Computers are down. Monroe is out because they think they bump into a second quantum filament. Turbo lifts don't work. Working. Oh, yes, they say, hey, we're stuck up here. I didn't look this up, but I said, well, I guess the bridge is at the top of the ship. And then I was wondering, what's up and what's down? These will be things for a future episode. How does gravity on the Enterprise work? Then we're on the turbo lift with Picard and 3 very unhappy kids. No communicator doesn't work. And Picard says, get me off this lift. Jay Gordon's very non-optimistic output. And Picard says, it's just communications down. And he says, he starts to raise his voice, telling them everything's going to be all right, but in a authoritative voice. I also put whiny and negative, but who could blame the kids? Picard gives it to them straight. That's what my notes say. Everything will be all right in the high voice, like a authoritative voice. O'Brien and Troi send out, they send out, say, hey, any other ships out there? We ran into a quantum filament. Then they start to run the isolation protocol. Oh, because Ensign Rowe, she comes off the turbo lift, running scans, but no mofo diagnostics. Oh, they can't even do full diagnostic. And they don't know if it's like malfunction of the sensors that they can't detect anybody or what. And then they say, do you sense anything, Counselor? And she goes, yeah, I sense people. Not everybody's happy, but I can't tell where they are. And Rowe she starts to take command of the situation. And she says, well, who's in command? Who's the duty officer? And O'Brien says, Monroe, but she stepped out to go to the big farm in the space. And he says, Counselor Troi is the senior officer on deck. And Rowe does a quadruple take. She says, wait a second, Counselor Troi. I guess her viewpoint of professions is skewed. And O'Brien says, yep, she's a lieutenant commander, is the rank. And Troi, similar to Picard, says, I'm open to suggestions, so let's figure this out. And O'Brien says, well, let's do procedure Alpha 2. Put everything on manual override. She goes, okay. And then Rowe says, let's stabilize everything, get some communications going. And Troi says, great. And then she says, Mr. Mandel, help Ensign Rowe. Let's see what else I have here. That was Alpha Protocol or whatever. Oh, dear. Oh, but after that, we get an oh, dear close-up of Troi. Then we have a shot of Enterprise in space without power. That looked cool. Then we go to 10 forward, a lot of tipped over tables. And 1111, worth checking out in the background. There's a strange duck sculpture on one of the tables. I don't know if somebody put it there because most of the tables on 10 forward are flipped over, except for this one. Not only is it, I think it's like a booth table, so it may have been secured to the ground, but it has this bizarre, strange, I don't know, duck sculpture thing. Let's see. Worf's running scans. Riker's helping Keiko. They say, we have no access to the bridge or to sick bay. Riker says, hey, let's assume the WRST. And then him and Data say, okay, let's use the crawlway. We'll take command of the ship. That's what we need to do. Worf, 10 forward's now the sick bay. You're in charge. Then I don't know where this comes up. Oh, I think maybe this is back on the bridge. They say clear the power shunt. Oh, no, this is with Geordi and Crusher. And then they say the shunt is cleared. And then Jordy says, let's use the emergency hand actuator. Then they're like, the wall's hot here. And then we see this green gas come out of the wall. Plasma, polyduride, quartum, basically not good for any moderate or major generals. Then we jump over the turbo lift. One of the kids is rocking. One kid negative something. Marissa is quietly helping as Picard tries to figure stuff out. And Picard just has a little backache, and he's trying to stretch to reach the top of the elevator, but he can't quite reach it. And then Picard starts to show his adaptability. He says, okay, well, Marissa, I need a first officer. You're the oldest. Will you be my number one? And she goes, number one. He goes, that's what I call my first officer. So he says, you're number one. Let's get a crew together. And he goes, Jay, what do you think about being science officer? He goes, it's Jay Gordon, dude. And Picard says, forgive me, Jay Gordon. And Jay Gordon accepts science officer. And then the radish kid, who Picard does almost nickname the radish kid. He goes, hey, you were in charge of radishes. So he goes, first officer, science officer, you're the executive officer in charge of radishes. And the kid says, sounds great. I love experimenting on radishes. And Picard says, okay, let's get to work. Jay Gordon was my favorite part. Radish Commander. Come on, that couldn't be more podcasty. Then this is a little joke, a little pun. They're in the crawl space in space. Data and Riker. 1365 Baker. Would you say, is that Baker Street? Like, what's the address in Baker Street? Is that an inside joke? There's a coolant leak, something about 83 rads and something. Is this back? Maybe this is back with Geordi. Oh, yeah, these are SAT questions. Let me see if I could read these. So you should watch this if you're studying the SAT. I'll give you a SAT question here. There's two in a row, too. Dr. Crusher says, we can deal with this level of radiation for 3 or 4 hours. Without, basically fine. And LaForge says, what are the rad levels in the quartum or whatever? Now, here's the first thing. Dr. Crusher says 83 rads, rising at a rate of 4 rads per minute. So put down your pencils. I'm just kidding. It still goes on. And then Jordy gives us the next piece of the question. The stuff gets unstable at 350 rads. So you have 83 rads raising at a rate of 4 rads a minute, and 350 rads is not good. But then, so that would be easier question to solve. But then Crusher adds the SAT level part. The radiation level, if we move it over here, is 20% lower than where it is now. So please just solve that for how long they have to be messing around and do rehearsals. Then we go back to the main bridge. So I don't know if you got that. Also, Jordy says you can't trust anti-gravitants, or at least that's what my notes say. Then we get a funny joke from O'Brien. They're talking about the quantum filament that they ran into. And Troi says, how big is a quantum filament? And O'Brien says, hundreds of meters long. It has no mass, so it's hard to detect. Troi says, like a cosmic string. And O'Brien says, totally straight-faced, no, that's a completely different phenomenon. Like a little bit draining of her authority. Then Rose just starts doing things her own way, like, and not playing it safe. And they say we got an odd reading from the warp drive. I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional. If we're like sympathizing with Troi, they use a lot of jargon, which is confusing. Rose says, dumped the power from the phaser array into the engineering control. We got impulse power. I don't know. There was here we go. That weakened the containment field in the antimatter pods. Here you go. Field strength is at 40% and is still falling. And O'Brien says can't get to 15%, which you can't solve for currently because I need to give you one more part of the equation. So jargon, a double exclamation point. But it's more math. Then it says if enemy broken by tripolymers, this is where it gets even better. They're in the crawl space in space, Jeffrey's tube, and they have this electrical field they got to get through. So Data says, what if I go in there and just shut it down with my body frame made up of tripolymers? It's not conductive. And Riker says, but Data, that wouldn't be good for you. And Data says, well, you could just take my positronic brain with you. Just uncouple it. And at first Riker's like, no. And then Data's like, it's fine. I don't need it. I can function fine. It just take my cranial unit. And Riker says, let me get this straight. Really? And Data says, yep, this sounds great. Totally self-contained. And they try it out and it works. It says, you take it with you. This is totally normal. Then Data's down. He blinks. He says, that was a remarkable experience for a modern android general. He says, we need to get to the ventral, or get to my ventral access panel. Then we have Jay Gordon opening the lift. He says, Picard says, take a look around. You see any clamps and long, big beams with big grooves? He goes, how are those clamps looking, number one? And they say those clamps are trouble with a capital C, and that rhymes with T, and that stands for, we got to get to the ladder. And Picard says, I got a backache. You can't do it. And then Marissa, the number one, she says, no. We're doing this together, Commander Picard. I mean, at first it's like a little bit, the kids say, no, we don't want to go. Picard says, go without me, my back hurts. And they say, no, we're all in this together. Even the Radish kid follows orders. We all go or we all stay. They say, let's try one more time. Picard says, this is mutiny. And he says, pull out some optical cables. Then we see Geordi and Crusher moving barrels, which was, captivating. And then they get a wild idea to limit the oxygen. Kind of a wild idea. Let's fill space with our trash. All this trash we don't want in here, let's put it out in space so we don't have to move it. So it just made me think, don't have Geordi help you move. Because I think like halfway through the movie, say, what are we bringing all these boxes to your new house for? We could just let them fall out the back of the truck. So don't let Geordi move you. Then we see Worf's bedside manner, which is not good, not surprising. He goes, you bore that well after he checks in with one person. And he says, perhaps you should lie down to Keiko when she's not feeling great. And he goes, I believe that is normal, something. And he says, this isn't a good time for you to give birth. He says, isn't that a good time, Keiko? And she says, yeah, like it's open for debate. Then we see a meeting between Troi, O'Brien, and Ro. The table is really gleaming in the office. And Ro's a realist. O'Brien's more of a loyalist and a family person. And Troy's trying to believe, figure out what to do. Because Ro says, let's just cut our losses and take the saucer or, start flying around in the saucer. And O'Brien says, you can't do that. And then very similar to the kids, Ro says, why? There's no reason to be optimistic. And Ro kind of is a little bit trying to take command. And Troi says, listen up, I'm in charge, and I believe, she says, there's no reason to believe, Ro says. This is after Troi walks off and looks out the window. She says, there's no way. And then Troi says, Rose says, there's no reason to believe. And Troi says, I do believe, actually. And she says, I'm going to give it every chance I can. She says, Chief sends the power down to engineering to leave like the engineering computers on. So if somebody gets there, they realize they're supposed to do something. And then Rose still says, well, I would like to remind you, I don't believe. And Troi gives the most chilling command you can. She says, proceed, ensign, which I loved. Then we see Picard and the kid crew. They're all linked together. They can't get one of the doors open as they're on the ladder. And these kids start saying, I don't believe. Ready, hang on. Troi says, is that them? Oh, also they do a climbing song. And I'll talk about it briefly, but they said, what song do you kids sing in school? And Marissa says, The Laughing Vulcan and His Dog. And Picard goes, well, I know Frere Jacques. Then, we're all right, a climbing song. Then Keiko's, contracting. Dr. Worf is like using his phone scanner the whole time, trying to get info off Google. He says, I'm not certain this is going the right way. It's not like the simulations. And Keiko goes, it's not always by the book. And Worf goes, I'm sure it'll be fine. Then Crusher and Geordi are getting ready to pull off their drain, sending everything into space, do their part. We go back to the bridge. There's tension on the bridge. Ro is hot like the power coupling. I mean, she's not happy. She says, field strength's down to 20%. You don't know what you're doing, Commander Troi. And she goes, you're the one responsible. This is exactly what I said was going to happen. Too much wishful thinking. And boom, Troi comes right back. She goes, we'll separate the ship when I decide it's time and not before. Am I making myself clear, Ensign? And she goes, yeah, I guess so. I decided not before. And then she sits in the captain's chair, which is cool. Then we see Data's head in the house. And they get to they're in engineering, and it worked because Data said, the bridge is trying to tell us something. That's why the computers are on. He says, link up my ODN conduit to the input matrix in my second optical port. And then Riker does something. He goes, no, not that optical port, the other one. And he says, hurry up. If you pick up the pace. Riker even says, you need a bigger head, Data. And then it works. Data gets stabilized. We go back to the bridge where O'Brien says, somebody fixed it in engineering. And Ro goes, I guess I got a message I was wrong. And Troi goes, you know what? You could have been right. You could have just as easily been right. And NBD, she says, no big deal. Don't worry about it. Then Picard and the kid crew, they get off of the lift. They give out hand shakes all around. And then Worf says to Keiko, you may now give birth. And she goes, what? That's what I'm doing. And he goes, has it not begun or something? And then things coalesce. And he goes, well, the last time I tried delivering a baby by, simulation, it was very orderly. Also, there's like someone else helping in the background, kind of like patting Keiko's brow. I couldn't figure out who that was, but they pull it off. Keiko does the hard work, and Worf does the talking work. And he says, the baby looks like Chief O'Brien. And I said, nice job blowing it. You did all that work, and you say that. And then we get the captain's log again, because everything's getting tied up in a bow. It's a supplemental, Picard. We're en route to Starbase 67 to undergo repairs, life returning to normal. And then we're back on the bridge. And the kids are there, and Troi says, just wait there. And then Riker goes, you can't stay away from being in command, can you, Counselor Troi? And she gives it back to him. She goes, well, maybe not captain, but probably first officer. I don't think there's many qualifications. And Riker calls Captain Picard to the bridge. We see the kids have a big, plaque for, it says, to Captain Picard, in appreciation for the way you helped us get out of the turbo shaft and the way you helped us not, be scaredy-poo. J. Gordon Grass, Graas, Patterson Supra, and Marissa Flores. And Patterson, the Radish Kid, a.k.a. the Radish Kid, he says, I made the back piece. If Picard goes, stick to radishes, kid. He goes, a wonderful job. He goes, by the way, we're going to finish the tour starting with the BATTLE bridge. 1,400 hours. And I guess he goes, but first I'm going to take a nap, because then he goes, number one, you have the bridge. And then we get the last, I guess 80s, 90s TV laugh. Marissa and Riker both say, aye, sir, at the same time. And then they go, Jinx, buy me a Coke. And they say, nope, buy me a Coke. 1, 2, 3, or whatever, however you do the Jinx. And that's how the episode ends. So then let's look up what came up on this episode here. Okay, this is from Cornell University Library from 2016, actually. Quantum filaments and dipolar Bose-Einstein condensates. And I believe this is just like a little bit of a submission, probably a paper by F. Wachtler and L. Santos. If you want to read it, I'll try to put it it'll be on the website in about like a few days after this release. Collapse in dipolar Bose-Einstein condensates may be arrested by quantum fluctuations due to the anisotropy of dipole-dipole interactions. The dipole-driven collapse induced by soft excitations is compensated by the repulsive Li Huang Yang contribution resulting from quantum fluctuations of hard excitations, in a similar mechanism as that has been recently proposed for Bose-Bose mixtures. The arrested collapse results in a self-bound filament-like droplets, providing an explanation to a recent dysprosium experiments. Arrested instability in droplet formation are novel general features directly linked to the nature of the dipole-dipole interactions and should hence play an important role in all future experiments with strongly dipolar gases. But let's see what Memory Alpha Wiki says about that. That's what the scientists say, or the students. Quantum filament is an astrophysical phenomenon which can be very, trouble, like I said, with capital Q, not having to do with Q. That rhymes with bantam. They can be hundreds of meters long, but have almost no mass, making them difficult to detect. And that's about it there. What about the modern Major General song? Let's do some reading about that on Wikipedia. I am the very model of a modern Major General. Is a patter song from Gilbert and Sullivan's 1879 comic opera, The Pirates of Penzance. It is perhaps the most famous song in all of their operas, sung by Major General Stanley at the first entrance in Act 1. It's a satire of the modern, educated British Army officer of the late 19th century. And it's a difficult song to perform, even reading it, as we'll probably see in a second. It is replete with historical and cultural references, which the modern Major General describes as impressive and well-rounded education. It's kind of debatable of who it's based on or whom. But let's just do a little reading here of it. I am the very model of a modern Major General. I've information vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the fights historical. from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted, too, with matters mathematical, not me. I understand equations, both simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem, I'm teeming with lots of news, with many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. I'm very good at integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings animalculous. In short, in materials, vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern major general. I know our mythic history, King Arthur's and Sir Caradoc. I answer hard acrostics, and I have a pretty taste for paradox. I could quote Ecclesiastics, all the crimes of Hilagaba, somebody. In conics, I can floor peculiarities parabolas. I can tell undoubted Raphaels from General Dow's and Zophanies. I know the croaking chorus from the frogs of Aristophanes. I can hum a fugue of which I've heard the music's din afore, and whistle all the airs from that infernal nonsense pinafore. I can write a washing bill in Babylonic cuneiform, and tell you every detail of Cataractus's uniform. In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern major general. In fact, I know what is meant by, and I don't, mammalian and raveline. When I could tell at sight a Mauser rifle from a javelin, which such affairs as sorties and surprises I'm more wary at. I know precisely what is meant by commissariat. When I learnt what progress has been made in modern gunnery, when I know more of tactics than a novice in the nunnery, in short, when I've a smattering of elemental strategy, you'll say a better modern general has never sat gee. For my military knowledge, I'm both plucky and adventury, has only been brought down to the beginning of the century. But in matters of vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern major general. And I would have loved to hear Jordy sing all that. What about this word I kept mispronouncing during the episode? Quar autumn, which is a fuel source in Starfleet emergency thruster packs. It generally is stable, but as we know, at 350 rads, it's trouble. And also takes 2 people to move their barrels. Then we have, what's an ensign? I didn't know what an ensign was. It's a commissioned rank, the equivalent of which was used by service organizations of many civilizations. At traditional naval grade, ensign was the most junior line officer below lieutenant grades, usually immediately under lieutenant or lieutenant junior grade. And that was usually the first rank assigned to new officers who graduated from Starfleet Academy. And here's the great news. Primary duty, professional growth, both as a leader and as an occupational specialist. And maybe a listener, row. They are mentored by the more senior officers, as well as their subordinate, chief petty officer, as a part of the development of Starfleet leaders. As they prove more capable, they were considered for promotion. And some larger starships, like Galaxy-class ships, was not uncommon for veterans and seasoned enlisted personnel to have ensigns working for them as technicians, so the ensign could learn the ropes of the more technical aspects, like transporters. So that's a little bit about Chekhov was an ensign, Wesley Crusher, Dax from Deep Space Nine, Harry Kim, Voyager, Ro Lauren from, Travis Mayweather, Nog, Tom Paris, Hoshi Sato, Demora Sulu, and Sylvia Tilly. So it's just a little bit about Ensign. So I guess, yeah, entry-level officer. This was funny. There's not really a lot about it, but so for Star Trek, if you need some help, get a hold of me. The Laughing Vulcan and his dog doesn't have any, it's just a throwaway joke by Ronald Moore, who loved the way it sounded, the title and the image it brought up. And I have to agree, that's brilliant. The Laughing Vulcan and his dog. What about subspace? I never know what they mean when they say subspace. So I looked it up on Wikipedia. There's a lot there. In mathematics, it could refer to a space inheriting all characteristics of parent space, a subset of topological space endowed with subspace topology. In linear subspaces and linear algebra, a subset of vector space that is closed under addition and scalar multiplication. It could be a Euclidean subspace. In science fiction, hyperspace or fictional universe, or in Star Trek, a fictional feature of space-time that facilitates faster than light communication and transits. So a little bit about subspace. What about, let's find out about cosmic strings while we're at it, huh? They are, according to Wikipedia, hypothetical one-dimensional topological defects which may have been formed during a symmetry breaking phase transition. In the early universe, when the topology of the vacuum manifold associated to this symmetry was breaking, symmetry breaking was not simply connected. It is expected one string per Hubble volume is formed. Their existence was first contemplated by Tom Kibble in the 70s. The formation of cosmic strings is somewhat analogous to imperfections that form between crystal grains in solidifying liquids, or the cracks when water freezes into ice. Okay, I wanted to look up ventral because the data used that word, and I said, what does ventral mean? And according to the Wiki Dictionary, it's related to the abdomen or stomach. In this case, it's on Data's head, on the front side of the human body. Or usually the lower surface. So maybe below his ear was what he meant, ventral. Antonym, dorsal. Another couple of sets of song lyrics here, just because I liked how Counselor Troi said, I believe. So this is from the REM song, I believe. I know there's other I believe songs. When I was young and full of grace, I spirited a maraca friend. When I was young and fever fell, my spirit I will not tell. You're on your honor not to tell. I believe in puppies and time as an abstract. Explain the change, the difference between what you want and what you need. There's the key, your adventure for today, what you do between the horns of the day. I believe my shirt is wearing thin and change is what I believe in. When I was young and give and take and foolish said my fool awake. When I was young and fever fell, my spirit I will not tell. You're on your honor, on your honor. Trust in your calling. Make sure your calling's true. Think of others, see others think of you. Silly rule, golden words make practice, practice makes perfect. Perfect is a fault, the fault lines change. I believe my humor's wearing thin, and change is what I believe in. I believe my shirt's wearing thin, and change is what I believe in. When I was young and full of grace and spirited a maraca, when I was young and fever fell, my spirit I will not tell. You're on your honor, on your honor. I believe in example. I believe my throat hurts. Example is the checker to the key. I believe my humor's wearing thin and I believe the poles are shifting. I believe my shirt is wearing thin and change is what I believe in. So that's I believe, and then we'll cap it off here with Frere Jacques. which is a nursery rhyme and song known in English as Brother John, and in many other languages, traditionally sung in a round. It's about a friar who was overslept and is urged to wake up and sound the bell for early morning or midnight prayers, which is, so other monks wake up. Let's see, the theories of origin, maybe 17th century. It may have not even always been a positive song. There's a lot there, but let's read the lyrics. Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. Sonas la matines, ding, dang, dong. Ding, dang, dong. And here's a couple of translations in English. Brother Jacques, are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Ring the bells for matins. Ring the bells for matins. Ding, dang, dong. Ding, dang, dong. Or are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Brother John. Brother John, morning bells are ringing. Actually, Brother John, they should be ringing, but they're not because of you. Morning bells are ringing. Ding, dang, dong. Ding, dang, dong. So that's a little bit about this episode with Counselor Troi in charge. Good night, everybody.